My name is Patricia Restrepo, and I am one of the curators of the exhibition Slowed & Throwed, which is a two-part interdisciplinary exhibition orbiting around the legacy of DJ Screw. This exhibition focuses on the DJ's process of chopping and screwing and provides a lens of suggested viewing of contemporary visual artwork in relation to that process. Robert Hodge is one of the 15 visual artists in the show who produces work through strategies that parallel DJ Screw's methods. The material possibilities offered by vinyl record and cassette tapes propelled DJ Screw. His mixtapes were almost entirely limited to production on cassette because the record and compact disc were insufficient to hold his 100-minute mixes. Despite technological shifts in media formats, DJ Screw remained committed to DJing with vinyl and recording his mixtapes on cassette tapes. In their parallel processes, the exhibiting visual artists similarly have a commitment to material specificity, often working with unexpected materials that offer unique formal, conceptual, or physical attributes. Musician and artist Robert Hodge composes imagery from used record covers for his collages. The album covers he chooses are resonant and personal, enabling him to tease out themes of memory and remembrance. He also draws from a large range of musical genres, akin to DJ Screw's vast musical interests. Please help me welcome Robert Hodge.
Hey, good morning. First of all, thank all of y'all for coming out. I appreciate it. I want to start by thanking Patricia for your integrity. I gave her a few names and ideas of what I thought would make this show really great, just because I grew up on Screw. And I just appreciate the time you took to connect with those people. And I think the show has a lot of integrity, and it feels good to see people who I thought would never come to the museum actually step foot in. So I want to thank you first. I want to thank the education department, of course, and I want to thank the installation department, because I know what you had to do to put that room in. My brother Kenny, I appreciate you and all your work, I know. So before I even start, I want to shameless plug this record that I made. That Ayanna just played that sound, that really great sound piece. It's actually on this record that I made with Station Museum. It took almost 3 years to make. And so I understand, like, working with musicians and artists, it just takes a lot of collaboration, a lot of patience. So that's out the way. I just want to plug that. That's dropping record day, April 13th. So I want to start with my childhood, because I grew up in Third Ward, and so DJ Screw is really, really important in my life, not only because of the music, but because of the people who I knew who were actually in the clique. And so I grew up on Del Rio, right by Dixie, which was by a street named Tampa. And on Tampa was a young man named Kenneth Moore, who goes by Big Mo. So Big Mo, little brother, we were really cool, grew up in elementary together, and I just got to see the process of these guys trying to figure out their life outside of, like, a lot of these guys played football, were in the street activities, and they had to figure something to do with their life. And so that's how kind of Screw came together. It was like soldiers united for cash to get money to, build a better life. And so I grew up with Chris Ward, who's also a SUC member. He went to Thompson Elementary with me. We drew Ninja Turtles and sneakers all day, and then he became this rapper. And so the shift for me was because I went to a high school called HSPVA. And because I went to PVA, I had to leave Yates, which was my zone school, and that kind of separated me and my friends from my neighborhood. And so while I was drawing, trying to figure my things out, they were making music and kind of growing in this clique. And so even though we all remained cool and there was a respect for each other, it was just different lifestyles, and so I couldn't see them as much as I wanted to. And so I'm so proud of the work they did, and who they became, and so which brings me back to my work. And this is a piece I made last year for David Shelton Gallery, and this work was based off all my work. Really, it's just, I want you to have a certain connection with what an artwork feels like. And I grew up with, of course, like we all did, learn these technical skills, life drawings, composition, et cetera, et cetera. And so when you get to a certain point as an artist, you just realize, at least for me, that's not really what's important. I want people to come in and feel engaged with what I'm trying to say. And so all these works are from reclaimed paper from around the city. If you think about those gas stations, you see all those big movie posters. That's primarily the paper that I use for that. And so it's just a a process of taking a paper, throwing it in a big bucket of water with glue, and kind of making these thick layers of paper, and then kind of carving these ideas and thoughts into them. And so this is a great Mexican proverb, which I love. They tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were the seeds, which directly connects me with SUC and what Screw did, like making this music that just connected, and it connected here first. And it was weird when I would go out of state and play it, people just didn't get it. And even when I did a program at Skowhegan in 2014, and I made a lot of work about Screw, and I was trying to have these critiques, they were just trying to eat me up because they just understand the process of this chop and screwed and these connections of this music to the art. And so I think it's very important what happened here the other day with that opening, because I haven't seen an opening like that since that Basquiat show at the Starbucks at MFA. And what that says is that people love art. They want to see it, but you got to engage them. You got to give them something they want to. And so when you bring a city out like that, I don't know how it can be ignored, because, man, it was a line around the museum. So people, they want to come. So when it's that conversation of, are people coming to the museum, or why they not coming? How do we get them here? You got to give them what they want. And that's things they connect to. So this is more of the stuff I made last year. Once again, I'm just into collecting material from around the city, things that will be throwaways, things that no longer have life, that kind of lost their identity, like an old movie poster that came out 2 summers ago. What you gonna do with that paper? Are we gonna recycle it? Yes, it's thrown into something that becomes like part of this thing that could be possibly forever. So Love Supreme is obviously an ode to John Coltrane, which is one of my favorite musicians. And surprisingly enough, I don't listen to a whole lot of hip hop in the studio. It's mostly jazz, or now these records I find when I'm making these collages. So my music vocabulary has expanded to like bluegrass, country, because I found some awesome stuff I would have never heard if I didn't start collecting vinyls and cutting them up and kind of experimenting with them. Too Legit to Quit. Oh man, this is my favorite painting. This painting is from 2014 to 2019. So maybe before then, this, of course, is from Hammer. Hammer had a lot of disrespect in the industry, but he did so much for the culture. A lot of rappers wouldn't have the lifestyles they have if Hammer didn't make that sacrifice of crossing over commercially and doing these things that we make fun of at that time, but now it's like a norm, So Too Legit to Quit is a self-portrait, of me. This work was put outside Project Rojas for almost 5 years. It had been rained on. It went through Hurricane Harvey. It's been ran over and shitted on. All these things that happen as a human being, living in life. And that's why I intentionally named it Too Legit to Quit. And I put it outside just to see how it would hold up in the scheme of life. So what's crazy is when I was ready to put this in the show, I picked it up and it literally fell apart in my hands. It was okay the whole time. Like 5 years, nothing happened. As soon as I was ready to show it, it felt like a human body to me, because when I was picking it up, I was like, no! It was like when Ricky got killed in Boys in the Hood. It literally just, it was so weird. So I had to kind of repair it. I had to put it on the medical table. I had to stitch it back together. I had to kind of like show it some love again, and it survived. And so, of course, I had to get it sprayed for insects. It had a lot going on with it, but and the painting is like 400 pounds. It takes like 5 guys to pull it out. So this painting means a lot to me, man. But it just shows, like, just keep going through what you're going through. Persevere. You'll be okay. It's, just don't stop. Too legit to quit. This one is based off a Kendrick Lamar song. It's Promise You Will Sing About Me. It was just something that was dedicated to ancestors. A couple of people I lost in my life. It was kind of like, this mantle of where you come to and pray and kind of like give thoughts to. So the books there were some of my favorite books. So I thought were really, really great to translate to people to read. But you think about how can you give somebody a recommended book list. So I put them in a painting. So whenever you see them, I hope kids can take notes, write those books down, and kind of read them. Of course, the boat is on top. The bottom is World Tour, which is a war tour from, what's my group? Tribe Called Quest. But when we were kids, I couldn't really decipher what they were saying, so I thought it was World Tour, and it's not World Tour, but in the spirit of thinking what I thought it was, I kept it there. This whole exhibition was dedicated to Tribe Called Quest. It was called A Low End Theory. This is some work that I made in Pittsburgh, and which has become like my second home now. I work with a print company there called Air, and when I come into town, they give me a few assistants, and we kind of like the building down and we just make prints for 2 weeks all day. I just kind of eat lunch there, I sleep there, shower there, and just make work. And this is George, John, and the Cosmic Pineapple, which is George Clinton, John Henry. And so I'm telling the story of John Henry, the man that, that beat the machine. And so all this work pulls up history, music. I got 5 minutes, sorry, y'all. I'm going to make it work. But a part of my process also is printmaking, painting, collage. And I'm going to skip to some of the work of the collages, which is what's outside. It's not these particular collages, but these were easy to connect with DJ Screw for the obvious reasons of their vinyl records, it's music, but I also love the fact that Screw was really open and diverse with his music selection. It wasn't really just catered to hip-hop. You would find a lot of really rare things in the music, and so it allowed me to open up and kind of do what I was doing anyway. And I thought about Screw the whole time, and so my works are not documented for this because I kind of got them at the last minute because I was just making a lot of work. I didn't know what Patricia wanted, what she's going to take. I just kind of went ham and just was making a lot of things. And what I respect and love about Screw is, his, like I say, is his love for collaboration. He was never about himself. He was always about, let's make great music, and hopefully I can make a platform to put my friends on so they can have a career. Because, at the time it was non-existent. And you got to go back in time. I know you guys know that South is love now. But at that time, we had no respect in the music world. It was literally very parallel to the art world. If you're a Southern artist, you got to fight for your space, because they might do this top 10. Like, you sit in the magazine, these top 40 best artists, and they all live in New York because the newspapers in New York. So you're like, what? Top 40? You didn't scour the country to look for top 40 artists. You went to Brooklyn. But what else I want to say? I mean, I got 5 minutes, and I wish you guys could ask questions, but we can't. I just want to thank you. Can we get some questions in? That'd be great, because I'm last. It's 2 minutes, 3 minutes left. Anybody want to ask any questions? See? Yes, ma'am. And so, Sister Johnson, can y'all give her a round of hands? She's in the show, and she's magnificent. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's worse. Pittsburgh is really, really hood. I was eating lunch and I saw somebody pull a gun to somebody's head in Homewood, and I was like, at lunch? Really? Come on, guys. We can't wait till the sun goes down. Pittsburgh. Yeah, I respect it, and I didn't want to listen to rumors, so I lived in Homewood, and I toured and walked the neighborhood because I'm never one to look at the news and get terrified because I live in Third Ward, and so if I did that, I wouldn't walk my own neighborhood. But yeah, I definitely respected Pittsburgh. Yeah, Rabea Bain is also here, and she's in the show, and she's also wonderful. Oh, I actually did a beauty box in Pittsburgh, in Homewood, and it was really challenging because Third Ward is a really cooperative neighborhood. Homewood rejected the idea of me coming in, being a foreigner, me thinking, you know how it is when you come in, people think that you're trying to say something is wrong with their neighborhood, and I'm not. I just wanted to highlight the beauty of Homewood and throw my taste on it and kind of connect with people there, but it was challenging. The day my project went down, they tore it down. Like one particular guy, because he was already selling merch there, and I tried to offer him a collaboration space, and he didn't want to collaborate. He was like, nah, man. And he felt like I came in and took his space. And I was like, man, don't feel that way. This is yours. You can still sell your products here. But, that taught me a very valuable lesson that you're not going to always be welcomed. And public art is very difficult. It's hard. I think we're wrapping up because it's 12 o'clock. I want to stay on time. If you want any additional questions, I'll be here for like 30 minutes hanging out, and I'm free to answer anything that you guys want to ask.